Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Grow Your Business with a Virtual Assistant. We have the wonderful NJ Stevenson, who I love and admire. I love watching her Facebook. That's how I found her, out of our wonderful Facebook groups. So NJ is going to speak to us about photography brand sessions and what your images portray. So everybody, welcome NJ.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. And NJ is also an online business manager, an OBM, which we'll be discussing, brand photographer with 10 plus years of experience in the wonderful world of online business. Along with an amazing team and network, she helps you maximize for developing and growing your business. So NJ, tell everybody a little about yourself.
You just look.
Oh yeah, I just explained everything.
Pretty much, I'm an online business manager and a project manager, a commercial photographer based in Dallas, Texas. That's U.S. Central Standard Time. And I help in training other virtual service providers or online service providers. So, yeah, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a baker, like all that good stuff. I'm all that.
Right. So for those that have an online business, how do you help them virtually with the branding?
Photography wise. So in offering brand sessions, I'll keep it short and then you can let me know if you have other questions on that. Just offering brand sessions is taking the opportunity to tell their story in pictures. And it may be a little bit of video too. I don't actually do video, but it doesn't take a lot to do a promo video. There's so many resources out there for that. So telling their brand story, like everybody has a brand story. I think people know me for my glasses. People know me for my hair. It's all a part of my brand story, So just taking a person's brand story and making it come to life.
Oh, okay. So how important is an image on social media? Like, how important is that image to portray your message?
I think it's very important. I'm gonna talk a lot about my hair and my glasses because those are things that people can relate to. I think it's really important. One of my big things in being an online provider and also being a person that trains is be yourself. I'm really huge into being yourself. Well, this is a part of me being myself, having my hair be what my hair is, me. And so when you start talking about your brands and authenticity, today, the huge thing is, be authentic, be yourself and all of that. It's important that you come across as a real person, not a robot, not somebody that dressed up for the camera, because people want to know the real you. Yeah, they want to know the real you. They want to see the real you. And if it's all just, I got dolled up for the camera, but when you see me out at the network,
recognize you.
Yeah, you're not going to recognize me because your pictures look totally different and everything is so different. So no.
Yes. So can a picture get lost? Like the message you're trying to portray, can it get lost in that picture if you choose that wrong picture?
Probably so. Like I think the word somebody used years ago was demonstrative. I use my hands a lot. I use my facial features a lot. So if you don't have the right expression, because expressions speak. You've seen a picture before, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody has a look on their face. You want a certain kind of expression for the message that you're trying to put out. Like if you're happy,
Yeah.
Or if you, it all speaks. Everything you do, your language, your head up, or did that just give a different message?
Yeah, you're portrayed different.
Yeah, body language. So it's the same thing in pictures. So.
Oh wow. So if you have an idea of how to brand, or what's your process for everything when you work with the client?
We start off, of course, with an intake process where we ask questions on end use. I'm really big into how are you going to use these images? Is it for, is an author trying to get an image for their banner? Is it, a minister trying to get something to put across their website. So it really just depends on how you're going to use the image. So I start there. Then we have a session, actual session, where they do 3 looks.
Okay.
So outfit is called a look. And then in the course of that, we are making sure that what we're capturing fits what they plan to do with the images. So if they say, yes, this is for my book cover, this is for my flyers that I'm going to create, it's all created that way to make it easier and to make it less Photoshop on the backside. Like if I know they need a horizontal image versus, portrait, then I'm going to shoot the image in horizontal. So.
Oh, okay. So what if, have you ever had the problem where you had an image, you had an idea, the client had an idea, but it just didn't fit?
I have some pretty good clients. I mean, I have some wonderful clients that trust me, and that's why people come to you, right? They come to you because they trust you. They like your photography, and then they trust you as the expert. So I have some really good clients. However, I did only have one client. She drove here 400 miles. She got here, and she liked a lot of white. Her color was white, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
But it wasn't for what she wanted to do, which was a book cover and an author image, okay? And because she wore white all the time and it wasn't necessarily complimentary to her, when you start talking color theory, there are certain colors that bring out that essence of you. Like I wear a lot of this color because it complements my skin, not because it's my favorite color. People say, that must be your favorite color. Like, I like the color, right? But it's not my favorite color, but it complements my skin tone. And so when she got here and she had all of her white, we also had to do a shopping with her. She had to go shopping. I had to take her shopping so we could get her outfits for the brand session. And so while we were shopping, she's like, no, I like this one. I'm like, no, let's do this one. So this, is me answering your question. And we went back and forth, then back and forth. She wanted her white. And I'm like, no, you need some color. And I won. Of course, I will photograph the client in whatever the client wants. If she wants to be photographed in white, she's going to get photographed in white. But also, let's do some color because it's really going to make you pop on what you're trying to do. It's really going to bring things alive. And so it got pretty bad. To answer your question, it got pretty bad in the session to the point where I said, you know what? This is not working. You can leave.
Oh, wow.
So you can leave or you can let me be the expert.
Because that's what you're hired to do.
That's what I'm hired to do. So it got to that point, and then she was like, okay. So I did all of my stuff, and she loved it and is still using it to this day. So, yeah.
Wow.
And white is okay. It was all right.
Okay. So when you're doing a brand session for a client, what is your whole turnaround time? So from you have the photo shoot, you take them out shooting. What is your whole process of the turnaround time of when you do everything?
It's pretty quick. I do the session. I have a really different way of doing my session.
Okay.
So I do the session, and as I'm doing the session, we're looking at the images, which reduces the turnaround time. I can actually turn around a brand session out, I'm going to say, in a minimum of 2 weeks. It can be 24 hours to 2 weeks, depending on what needs to be done to the images.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if it's super simple, I can actually turn around the image they need in 24 hours. So.
Wow. Because as you're taking a picture, you're showing them the camera to see if this is what they're like, if this is what they're comfortable with. So that helps out right there.
Well, I actually have a different process for doing it because I do 3 outfits. We photograph an outfit, we look. We photograph an outfit, we look. We photograph an outfit, and then we have them choose their final images. So they are watching the entire time. You know, they're looking the entire time versus having to wait to be surprised at what the end result is going to be. And it's not necessarily backup camera. We're looking on a monitor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we actually look at it on, you know, a screen. And that allows me to stop and say, what do you like? What don't you like? What, you know, and they're able to direct me so I can continue producing images that are going to work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have people that don't like their hands, or I don't like my smile. I don't like my teeth. I don't like this. This is my better side. Shoot me from this side. So I'm working with all of that. And I love the way the process is for me.
Okay.
Because it allows me to get what the client wants. You know, I've had someone that said, I don't like my hands.
I don't like mine.
Yeah. And those are questions that I focus on. I ask them, what is it that you love most about yourself? What do you love most about you? What do you love least? So I can stay away from the things they don't love.
And that's information you get on an intake call then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So I can stay away from those things. Like if they don't like their hands, then I don't need a picture where their hands are like this, right? Because they're not going to like that.
They're not comfortable.
They're not comfortable with that. So why am I going to spend time photographing that? They're not going to be happy with it. Can I Photoshop it? I can Photoshop it. Depends on how fast they need their turnaround. So in that intake process, if I know they don't like their hands, let's say they have a scar or something, they're very self-conscious. I don't like this scar, but I need a picture with my hands in this way. Okay, we can Photoshop that, but it's going to take longer. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have all of that information going through the entire process. Yeah.
So for a person like me, because I don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, how do you help those clients that are not comfortable? Like I get it, I could like for right now I feel okay, but then when somebody says, "Okay, Keila, take a picture," I'm like, like my smile's all messed up. It's just I can't get comfortable.
Just conversation and
I could take a selfie.
Yeah. Conversation and a remote control. A lot of times I've had to put the camera on the tripod. I have a remote and we're just talking and having casual conversation. I'm taking pictures, you know, clicking. The person's relaxed and talking, and they don't know I'm taking their picture, and it's going. So just doing different little techniques. And I have what I call it depends on the person, a 1-minute runway, something I made up and it works for me. It's a 1-minute runway. And what I do during that 1 minute, I tell them, just pose. Don't think about whether it's right, whether your smile is right. Don't worry about anything. I put music on and I say, just pose the way you want to look. And I photograph them for a full minute without any concerns. It doesn't matter if it's good. It helps you get used to the camera.
Yeah, like messing around.
Yeah, just have some fun. I say, have some fun. Do some crazy poses. Jump up, whatever you want to do, and let all of that energy out. So get used to it. Because the camera doesn't bite you. Come on now.
You're going to security. You're like, I don't want to take a picture.
I love it. I like
that technique because you're relaxing them, and if you don't know, and then when a person probably sees a picture, they're like, "AJ, when did you do that picture?"
That does happen. They're like, "Well, when did you get that?" Well, you were being your natural self, so you didn't distort your smile. It was just your genuine, real smile, you know, because you were just being you in that moment. So,
and then you can see that in pictures. You can see that when somebody's faking it, and then if you get that genuine look, I think it does look a lot better. That's nice.
But that's my technique. That's just how I do it. So
I think that's good. I would probably feel more comfortable doing pictures that way because if you tell me to sit there and pose, I know I'm not going to give you the best pictures.
Yeah.
The technique you use, I feel like I would get better pictures that way because I do kind of feel like it takes a while to get comfortable in front of the camera.
Mm.
So
why does it take a while to get comfortable? So I'll know since we're
Can you just do the sneak attack on me? I'll be better. Just talk to me. I'll be fine.
Okay.
With your sessions, have you ever had a client who wasn't happy with the pictures, the way things that were coming out, and how did you handle it?
The lady that, well, like I said, the other story that I shared,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that she wasn't happy with the pictures. We were having a color battle.
Oh.
You know, we were having a color fight, not an image fight. You know, I don't like these pictures. So I think as far as satisfaction, the only people I've ever had that were not happy with their images were a wedding client
Oh.
and an event client. Now those are still, the wedding is not branding, but the event is, it's event photography, but it's also branding because they're going to use those images.
Right.
In both cases, my poor wedding client had eczema. She didn't tell me she had eczema. You know, every time I met with her, she had sleeves on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, she was fully covered. On her wedding day, she had a, let's call it strapless wedding dress, but she had open sores because she had really severe eczema, but I never knew she had it. So I learned from that process to ask more questions. You know, I don't really do weddings, but I learned through that process to ask more questions because that day she had open sores, beautiful bride, and she had open sores and she wanted all of those sores photoshopped. And we're talking a lot of pictures. It's wedding pictures, a lot of pictures. And because we hadn't discussed that, I didn't know. So that was an issue. Also, she was supposed to get married under a canopy. She got married, I'm in Texas, and our summers are really hot summers, like hot summers. She got married in the actual open, like no canopy, no tent, no nothing.
No.
In the middle of July, and on that day it was 110 degrees. And she and her husband were both pouring sweat. They were both sweating and she didn't know she wasn't going to be under the canopy. So that's something beyond my control. So you're going to have things like that in photography in general. That's not a brand session. So with my other client that I told you about, we were just having a color battle. I gave her what she wanted because she is the client. And then I also showed her how color could really, really enhance what we were doing versus just having white.
Yeah, you don't want to get lost in it.
Yeah. So, but she still gets what she wants. So, yeah.
So what is it that you love about photography and branding? What do you love about it?
Telling the story. I know that sounds very cliche. I like the fact that, in the creative process is like my favorite. Just pulling it all together and making the story happen. You know, even the shopping, using that same story, even going shopping and planning this outfit because you want to have this look, this color, because color meanings, or they give a message. So just planning all of that and then just making it happen, having it come to fruition. So that's what I love about it. Being creative.
So for those out there who want a brand session, what should they look for? What kind of questions should they ask when they want this time? You know, they want to they need a brand session. They need something for their sales, their brand, their book cover. What should they look for to make sure they are hiring that right person for themselves?
Okay. Well, one of the things I'm noticing, especially since online, is people will say, I'm going to do a brand session. What should I do and how do I do this? There's a difference between a photographer taking your picture and a brand session. And the difference is branding is not a portrait session where you're just going, where you're just doing your regular portraits. You're trying to portray a message about your business, about the whole mood, tone, essence of your business. So first thing is get a brand photographer. Because I see a lot of people say, oh, I'm just using a photographer. They're not a brand photographer. So
Okay.
I'm just using somebody to take my picture. They're not a brand photographer. Try to find a brand photographer, one that specializes in it, because they're going to know how to tell your story for your business. Telling your story for your life is different from telling the story for your business.
Right.
It's two different things. Telling the story for your life, you can go slouch down on the couch and just have some fun. But for your business, you're trying to walk away with something that lets the viewer know who you are when you're not present, right? Because
Right.
they're going to your website, you're not there. They're looking at your pictures and they're making a determination about you and your business based on what you have there. That's it. So you want to tell the right story. You want to, if you're a happy person, you want them to know that. Like, I don't do a lot of smiling, but I'm a really upbeat person.
But you could tell that in your image, though.
You know,
Right.
and I'm quiet, but I'm also quirky, if that makes sense. So when you see me, I don't mind if my pictures are quirky or if my hair is all wild, because that's really me. That's, you know,
Yeah.
that's really me. So
And that's what you want. You want your picture to portray who you are. So if somebody does see you at a live event, see you, they're like, okay, that's
yeah,
her. That's who she really is. So if I see me NJ, I'm like, that's NJ.
yeah, and my hair may be any old way because that's just who I am. So you won't see me with all these pristine pictures and they're perfect and I've been airbrushed to death. No, I don't want to be airbrushed to death in my images. I want to be cleaned up, but I don't want my skin to be so smooth it has no texture in it. Now, you ask, what should a person look for? If you are the person that wants that airbrushed perfection, everything's just right image, you have to find a photographer that does that. I specialize in people that want to look like themselves.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a magazine cover where you knew it was, I'm going to use Oprah. You knew it was Oprah, but they had slimmed her down so much and they had airbrushed her so much it looked like a porcelain figurine. It didn't really look like,
It didn't look like her.
Right. So you have to know what it is that you're after. Are you after a more realistic branding session, or are you after something like that that's going to portray you the whole airbrushed, what is it you want? And that's what you want to look for. And also know what you want to walk away with. Are you looking for images that you can have? Do you want to buy them? That's one thing people don't know, is that when a photographer takes images of you, they own it. The law, U.S. copyright law, says they own those images.
Wow. Okay.
You paid them to take pictures of you, but they by law own the actual images. That's copyright law. So a lot of photographers will let you purchase your images to actually own them.
Okay.
Is that confusing?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two things that goes into having your images taken. When you contract a photographer and you pay them, you're paying them to be the creative. But you don't own the images. They own the images.
So they could end up using your images any way they want.
No.
No. Okay.
They own the image, but they would have to have a model release to use the images in other ways. Okay. What normally happens is they give you what's called a license to use. It's called a usage license. Here, you paid me to take your picture, so you paid me to be the expert. I own the images, and I'm going to license for you to use these images in your book, on your website, however it is you're going to use them.
Okay.
It's called a license. Okay. But you can buy them, but it costs a lot to buy them. And that's what most people don't know. They think, oh, those are my pictures. I paid for them. Well, that's not what the law said.
Wow. I never knew that.
Yeah, that's not what the law said. The law says the person who pushed the shutter is the owner of the image. Same thing even with your cell phone. If you're doing a selfie and you see some people walking by and you and your friend want to do a picture together, if you hand your phone to those people, by law, the person who took the picture actually owns the picture. It's your phone.
But it's their picture.
But it's their picture. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's great information, because I didn't know that, and probably a lot of people starting off don't know that information.
Yeah.
The little laws that you don't know.
Well, we don't think about it in our society. It's normal to be doing something, and then somebody will say, "Hey, you want us to take it for you?" Oh yeah, they take it and hand you your phone back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like natural.
But let's say that person in that image ended up being a star later, and that other person realized, I took that picture. I want my money. You sold it. You sold that picture, you know?
Yeah. And with these crazy lawsuits, you never know.
So, yeah. I want my money. They might remember. Yeah, I took that. So, cool.
Where do you normally take your clients to get pictures done?
We do it in their homes. We rent studios. We can do outdoor sessions. If it's headshots, I have a shooting space here in my home. So.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah. Rent a studio. In the Dallas area, there's no shortage of studio spaces, so clients can rent studios. Of course, you can always do outdoor sessions if that's the type of vibe that they want to give. Is outdoor sessions. I've done sessions inside of clients' homes. I pack up my whole everything, load it in the car, and off we go. You know, lights, camera, everything.
So is it almost like a full day process when you do a branding session when you're out taking the pictures?
Pretty much, at least a half day, because my standard sessions are 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, my standard session is 3 hours. They can go over. So you're looking at the least a half day, which is, 4 hours.
Okay, and that's including all the changes and everything you have to make.
Yes, the changes. I'm actually a makeup artist too.
Oh.
And yeah, so I do a lot of women. It depends on whether I'm doing the makeup or whether they're coming camera ready, or also whether I have another makeup artist that's working on them. So timeline varies. Like if I have another makeup artist, usually they're going to have a 30-minute window to get the face done for me. So yeah, just depends.
Wow, that's very interesting. I'm thinking about doing it. Well, actually, I was like, oh, let me go get my picture taken someplace. But I didn't think that, you know what, a brand session, a brand photographer is different from an actual photographer.
Well, it depends on what it depends on what you need the picture for. If you're just talking about my profile image and you just want a face shot, but if you're talking about laying out your website, and having a summit package, a media package that shows, you that you can send out, and the person can get a sense of your personality and who you really are beyond just the blog.
Square, right?
It's a different thing. But if you just need a headshot, sure.
No, I'm looking more of the full everything. It's just it's a lot to think about. I didn't understand and know that there was so much involved into it. But it's great information. Yeah. So in conclusion, what would you tell everybody about branding sessions and how important it is to have your own brand session? What would you let the audience know?
Well, you make my download available to the audience. I realize that not everyone is in a place where they can invest in a brand session. And I can say it's going to be an investment. If you're actually working with a branding photographer, they're going to charge, because it is a science and it is an art to telling your story. This person invests in getting to know you. What is it you want to come out through these images? And what I would say is, if you're not ready, take that download and use that guide to create your own story in the meantime, until you're able to invest in having it professionally done to tell your story. And if your looks change, one of my rules of thumbs that I tell my clients, if your looks change, then your images need to change. Now, if your looks don't, at least maybe every year or 2 years. Because what happens is, yes, it does cost. And people say, man, I spent a lot of money on this brand session. I'm going to keep it. And they keep using it year after year after year after year. And they don't look like that anymore.
Yeah, I can't use pictures I had last year. My hair was like down the middle of my back.
Yeah, they don't look like that
They look
anymore.
different.
It's time to change. Let it go. Let it go. It's time to change. And also, that's something that you can have a brand photographer do, is say, I want these to be as evergreen as they could possibly be. Meaning, if my looks change, because your hair is your hair. Like, my hair is not going to change because I'm never going to dye it. It's been this way since I was in my 20s. I've had some gray.
Wow.
I had a streak of gray at first, just, now. So my hair color is not going to change. I can use my images over and over and over. If I were to gain a lot of weight or lose a lot of weight, I'm going to want to change.
You got to change it.
Yeah, I'm going to want to change it. So those kinds of things to be mindful of, and make sure that your image that you're putting out there is you today. Or people can at least relate it to say, oh, that's Akilah. I know your face. Versus, that you actually look like you.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. So.
You're sitting there in the back of your head. Is that her? I think that's her.
Yeah. Because a lot of pictures go out. We're in the selfie, the time of the selfie, and people want to take their pictures. And when you do this, you get a slimmer effect. This is a 45-degree angle.
Okay.
And the reason selfies are so cute on Instagram, once they put their makeup on and everything, is because this is a 45-degree angle. Because of the angle, it slims the face down and brings it to a point. So you have to have a photographer that understands posing and lighting, because you can do anything. Like, if you're concerned that your cheeks are too fat, I know how to work with the light to make your cheeks not be too fat. So
really?
you have to know how to sculpt light and how to control light and how to, I have such a full face. My cheeks are so big, I don't want to deal with that. I know how to pose you so we minimize that.
And that's the importance of your intake call, because you're getting all that information ahead of time and you're understanding, this is what my client needs, this is what my client wants.
Yes.
So that very first call is so important.
Yeah. And throughout the whole process, I'm asking questions, as we're looking at the images and they're talking, I'm asking them questions that they may say, well, I don't like this. Then I know what to work on,
later.
As we're progressing through. And that way they end up with images that they love.
Wow.
Even if they have sleepy eyes, some people have what we call sleepy eyes, where their eyes get really relaxed and, they kind of look like they're asleep. How do I wake your eyes up? Because we're doing a brand session and your eyes need to be open, but naturally in your resting state, you have sleepy eyes. The person may have sleepy eyes. How do I, make sure that they're open and you look alert instead of sleepy? Or if you have a smile that does this and that really bothers you, how do I make sure your smile isn't tilted? Or if you have a wide nose like me and that bothers you, how do I minimize that? Because that bothers you. I can Photoshop it and give you a fake nose, or I can pose you in such a way to where that's not the emphasis. So
yeah, when I smile in my pictures, my eyes close.
Most of us, because the cheeks go up. I'm that way too.
Yeah.
And so with someone like that who hates that, instead of a full smile, we do a half.
And your eyes are open.
And then you can open them. And with me, my eyes become more open when I put lashes on. So I know that they're going to open up more when I put lashes on. So I'm going to wear lashes. And I'm also going to half outline my eyes. Instead of putting liner all the way across, do a half outline. It makes them look more open. There are all kinds of little things that
A lot of little tricks. That's why you need to hire a good photographer. Don't have your niece or nephew try to do a brand session for you.
That's funny. Hey, they can do a picture session, and it'll be good. And
take the download and you can do it at home because like you said, it is an investment.
It is an investment.
What is a normal investment for it though? If you're somebody just thinking, what is some people?
I don't know that there is a normal investment. I mean, just as we are virtual service providers and our prices vary, every photographer is going to be different, So there's not really a benchmark.
A base, okay.
Yeah, there's not. You just have to know what your own budget is and what you're willing to invest. And if it's going to help you make your money back too, because we don't think in terms of that. We don't think in terms of my media package can speak for me because you're sending it out to people for summits or interviews or podcasts or whatever. You're sending it out. And it is, especially in this online world, it's what they're going to see.
Yeah, you don't think about that. You don't.
Yeah, it's what they're going to see. So you want it to speak well of you, and you want it to present you well, so that they say, "Oh, okay, I like this. I like this." And then people don't think about, "Oh, well, I'm just going to take this selfie and I'm going to attach it to this thing," and it, for lack of a better word, and it's not a criticism, it looks crappy. It doesn't look professional, or so
that makes sense. It's just more of, you got to know what you want and what you want to portray of yourself. So when you are looking for somebody to do your pictures, to do your brand session, it's just, you got to think about that and make sure the person is asking the right questions. Because I know for me, I have my grandmother's wrinkled hands. So I don't like showing my hands. So I don't like my hands.
Yeah.
So it's important. Ask those important questions.
I did. I had one client. So far, I've only had one client. She said, when I asked that question, she said, "I don't like my hands." Well, this person was in her 20s. And she did have, wrinkled hands. She had wrinkled hands, and that bothered her. Well, that just let me know what not to do and how to help her have the best session possible.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, she also didn't like makeup. I don't like makeup. She's in her 20s. She didn't like makeup. Well, today she's a makeup artist. So she didn't. I was like, yeah, I understand you don't like makeup, but we're doing this to even out your skin tone. Just to even out your skin tone. You don't have to look like, the glamour girl on Instagram or anything like that. But we want to make sure everything is nice and even in that you're one tone. So we did it. And today she is a very good makeup artist because she got exposed to it. So, yeah.
That's interesting. So interesting. So everyone, I will hope you learned so much about brand sessions, how important a brand session is for you, what a brand session can do for you, your business, and your brand. And I would like to thank NJ so much for agreeing to be a part of my summit. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. And I learned a lot. I really did. And that's what's so important right now is I'm learning a lot just listening to all these interviews and learning what everybody does. It's really important information. And my whole takeaway and learning this is, don't think everything's cheap. Don't go to somebody just because they always have the cheapest rate, the smallest rates. You need to understand what you're purchasing, what you're getting. Because just because somebody's cheap, you may not always be happy with the results you get. And I think branding and photography is something that's very important because it portrays who you are. It portrays your vision, portrays your dream. So I want to thank NJ very much for being a part of my event. It was a lot.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
So everybody take that download because you need it. I need it because I'm going to get it. So thanks, everybody.